Hey, everybody. We just wrapped an incredible episode of the AI XR podcast with the great Shelly Palmer. He is a consultant to all of the big media companies, knows more about technology than I will ever learn. And he really holds forth and gives a point of view about AI, what's happened in the past year, and what's coming up. This episode of the AI XR podcast is brought to you by Zapper, the folks behind Mattercraft, the leading visual development environment for building immersive 3D web experiences for mobile headsets and desktop. Mattercraft combines the power of a game engine with the flexibility of the web and now features an AI assistant that helps you design, code, and debug in real time right in your browser. Whether you're a dev, designer, or just getting started, Mattercraft speeds up your workflow and brings your 3D ideas to life faster than ever. Start building smarter at mattercraft.io. Good morning, everybody. I'm Charlie Fink with Ted Shilowitz and Rony Abovitz for the AI XR podcast. Today is Friday, December 26th, 2025, our last show of the year. Good morning, guys.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning, guys.
So, how was your Christmas?
Good so far. I'm in Utah. Unfortunately, it's a light snow year, but we escaped the rain in LA, so we're just having fun with friends up in Utah.
Yeah, it's been raining here for several days. It always rains here at Christmas.
Well, we were hoping that rain would have turned into snow in Utah, but it didn't, unfortunately.
I think it's snowing.
I'll be back for Sundance is the end of January. So
well, down here in Florida, we're suffering from absolutely perfect blue skies, 70-degree Fahrenheit, just perfect weather. I don't know what to say about it. It's horrible,
So this is the show where we do the year 2025 in review, and we're being joined by Shelly Palmer, who is always comes on, or we're trying to make it tradition. I guess this is the second or third year, I guess he's come on at the end of the year and helped us recap. Shelly is, for those of you who don't know who Shelly is, I guess it's kind of he's a celebrity to those of us inside of the entertainment and technology industries. He consults with all of the big media companies on what's happening with technology and generally with markets, and super insightful guy. I learn something every time I talk to him. So I know.
Yeah, I would think we would call him a pundit. I think that's the word. He's a pundit.
Well, he's a guy like you guys who knows a lot about a lot. So Shelly has been, on the cutting edge of digital media since desktop publishing. In fact, he started out in the music business writing jingles.
He did.
So I
think he wrote a very famous jingle for CBS News. I remember he told us that one year that he wrote the CBS News theme that we've heard our whole lives. I think he wrote that. Pretty sure. I could confirm it today when he comes on.
So anyway, it's a great opportunity for everybody to hear from Shelly. He's got, by the way, a fantastic daily news email that I would highly recommend people sign up for.
He does.
It obviously does a little news recap, and Shelly's unique editorial point of view is all over it. So we'll look forward to getting some of that in person. Wasn't a big news week this week. Obviously, it's the Christmas week. So mostly we're going to talk today about 2025, which is in our rear view mirror. We were just talking about stock rallies at the end of the year, the so-called Santa Claus rally. We were also talking about people making moves like my sale of my Snap stock so I can harvest some losses, and then I'm going to rebuy it after January 1st. There was an interesting article in the LA Times this week. I mean, Snap has a billion users, and they're not profitable, which is kind of shocking. Here is Shelly Palmer. Great to see you, Shelly.
Hey, guys.
Happy Christmas, everybody.
It's all that. How are you guys doing?
It was good.
Hey, Shelly, before we even get started, we need to confirm, because I think you told us one year that you wrote the iconic CBS News theme. Is that correct? The music for CBS News?
Depends on what you mean by iconic.
Yeah, that's it. That's iconic.
I did about 9,000 arrangements of that. Yeah. It's actually in the universe called the Palmer News Package, not the CBS News theme, but
there you go.
It's based on something that was written for the Chicago affiliate, and it literally has over 1,000 cuts of audio. It's on all over the place, and we so much fun doing that over the years. I did a lot of news themes. I did one called Brave New World. I did AP's news theme. I wrote the original music for TNT when it went on the air, the sounder package for that. AP Radio,
Well, if you got any
yeah,
spare time on your
MSNBC,
hands, or if you got any spare time on your hands,
MSNBC's.
and
Yeah.
you want to write one for the AIXR podcast, we'd be honored. Or maybe you just got one sitting in the closet that
In
no
your
one used.
in your
There's-
copious
this would
free
be
time,
perfect.
could you please write a free theme song for us?
There is something on the order of 5,000 pieces of music in my ASCAP catalog and in the piano bench. And Ted, this is probably not any exaggeration. There's probably another 3,000 just tone poems and tone fragments and things that never became songs that were just, I write all day. Like there's stuff going on in my head all the time. And every once in a while I sit down and actually write it down. God knows what's going on in this ridiculous head of mine when I'm not writing stuff down. But there's every once in a while you kind of go, wow, that's good. I should write that down. So I don't forget.
Well,
it.
we'll take any one you want to give us.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I look, mom and dad met at Juilliard. They own music stores and they were both music educators. They taught in the New York City school system as music educators. And then after I was born, their teachers' salaries did not support childcare. Like they couldn't afford childcare.
Mhm.
So they had to figure out how to make extra money. And what they did was they got together with a couple of their friends and they opened a little music studio where they were teaching after school. So they teach all day till 3 o'clock and then they'd teach after. And then my dad would play gigs nights and weekends. But back then it was mostly Fridays, Saturday nights, and a Sunday wedding or two, right? So, he made a little supplemental income there. Then the music stores did okay. The music store did okay. And he bought out his partners and they ended up buying a couple more retail stores. I think at the height of his thing, he had like 5 or 6 retail stores and a mail order business, which was
Good.
interesting, and some manufacturing. My brother still runs such that it is the U.S. regulation bugle business, which my dad bought years and years and
Wow.
years and years ago.
Amazing.
So it's a small little thing. It's basically military and Boy Scout bugles, if you will, and who needs a bugle nowadays. But yeah, so anyway, there was a lot of music in my household growing up, and
That's an adorable
my
story
mother's.
about the bugle store. It reminds me of there was this classic SNL skit. I don't even think you can find it anymore online about something called the Scotch House, and all they sold was Scotch tape. Remember that? So, like,
Scotch
if you
tape
wanted,
I know that
Yeah,
was
yeah,
a
yeah.
Saturday
go
Night
in.
Live sketch from 40 years ago.
people would go
Yeah,
in and
yeah.
they'd be like, "Do you have duct tape? No, we only have Scotch tape. Do you
Scotch
have
tape.
masking tape? No, only Scotch tape."
Nope.
It was great.
Trumpets,
so the
no.
bugle thing reminds you of
Euphoniums,
that.
no. Yeah,
You have a
yeah,
trumpet?
Cornets,
Nope,
no.
only
Just
bugles.
bugles. Just
Only
just
bugles.
It's true though. It's a wholesale business.
Genius.
I think
It's genius.
he sells
Totally
he sells
genius.
on Amazon and online.
I
But
love it.
it would be funny if there was a physical store. But like, I think there are 2 SKUs. You can get a brass bugle or a silver bugle, which is really a brass bugle that's silver plated. That's pretty much that.
Well,
You can
I
buy the
think with-
bag or the
I think with
mouthpiece.
AI, you should go ahead and make him the physical bugle store and put it out on
That's
the
it.
web.
That'd be funny. And yeah, fondly remember, especially this time of year, it's fun to think back on
Yeah, it's great.
on my parents and what they did. But yeah, a lot of music. And I still do. I mean, for the first 40 years of my life, pretty much all I did was write music, every day and made a living out of it. And then the tech thing got really out of hand. I mean, I just I learned my technology by learning to be a better producer, just being more efficient in the production tools. And then one thing led to another. Sold a few patents around 2000, and actually earlier than that, 95, 97, 2000. And then I just got super involved. The big transition was when Disney bought one of my patents, and they're a pretty serious organization when it comes to technology, and they were going to reduce it to practice. That was enhanced television at ABC. And that patent, I didn't want to sell it to them unless they were really going to use it, because I was thinking about doing a thing with it. It teaches this concept that ended up being named OCAP, the Open Cable Application Protocol, which was a way to turn set-top boxes and servers into client server networks for data. And it predates the internet. It's a 1993 patent. It predates the World Wide Web, doesn't predate the internet. And it was fascinating that they wanted to use this technology. It allowed you to basically play Who Wants to Be a Millionaire on your desktop computer or your laptop while watching the show in real time. It powered a lot more, but that was the overlap that Disney was
Right.
interested in. They had Celebrity Mole, and they had Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and they had Monday Night Football, the fantasy football, and they wanted to involve people in with the technology. And once they agreed to let me consult, whatever that means, I got a 3-year contract and I leased them and then ultimately sold them the patent. And it was what an amazing opportunity to learn from some of the just best engineers in the world and brilliant executives. And really was a transition for me from something I genuinely knew how to do my whole life, which is write and produce music, to stuff I knew nothing about, which is like how to reduce a patent to practice. That was fascinating. So that I learned an awful lot during that time watching the engineers do their thing. And I was pretty good with the soldering iron. I'm not going to say I wasn't, but it's different level, what I was doing, what they were doing. So yeah, that was the real start, like
That's great.
25 years ago of the transition. Anyway, trip
So
down
it's
memory lane for no reason.
so it's 10 days ish before our annual trek to CES.
Yeah.
What are you excited about? What are you looking forward to? What's your take on what AI's presence will
Well, wait,
be
wait,
at the
but
show?
this is the year in review show. This is not the preview
Well,
of
Oh,
2026 show.
well, but let him do a little bit of predictive analysis.
Okay,
Come on.
all right, let's go for it.
look, last year you could smell the paint drying on the letters AI on every exhibit. Like everybody just painted it on the exhibit. Hi, we got AI. It's like there was AI toothpicks last year. There was AI toaster ovens. Like everything had AI on it. This year it'll be
Yeah.
worse.
And we're going to be
Yeah,
drowning. My prediction is we're going to be drowning in knockoff AI smart glasses.
drowning. Look, at the end of the day, no predictions required. This is really easy to understand. This is the year that AI is deployed. We are going to see everybody. There were two schools of thought, really. There was you can't make a living wrapping a foundational model because you're going to lose to OpenAI, you're going to lose to Anthropic, you're going to lose to Gemini. Then there was a school of thought that said you could. You could build a wrapper and you're going to do fine. Now, as it turned out, everybody was right. There are some people who have been able to create a vertical subject matter expertise where they have uh, built uh, they've done post training and they've also done embeddings and created databases that are subject matter expert. They've created evals. They've created entire workflows that are self improving workflows inside subject matter expertise. Some people have gone a different way. They've put together groups of different models, small language models and large language models, mixture of experts, techniques. So we've seen a lot of companies that have done both. We've seen some that have become vertical experts in either medicine or research or protein folding or something, marketing, what have you. And there are people who've done some wrappers and they've done them in a sloppy way, and they're gonna go out of business. They're parlor tricks. This year is going to separate the miniature golf from big boy golf, right? We're going to know who's on the PGA Tour metaphorically and who is basically playing goofy golf. So I think we'll see that at CES in a way that I don't believe people are prepared for, because I don't think you can pose. It's because you peel away one layer of the onion and it's instantly obvious something bad is happening. So I think we'll see that at CES, and I'm excited. Also, CES has added a couple things I know nothing about yet. Nvidia sponsoring these 2 days, Thursday and Friday, that are going to be all AI at the Fontainebleau. So, and they're giving free AI training opportunities to people and stuff. And I don't really know what that's going to be yet. I've read a little bit about it, and I've talked to the people at CTA about it. They're all super excited. Jury's out. We'll see. It's first year. First year, you never know. But how exciting that they're going to have, 2 whole days dedicated to AI. So I think that's a big plus. And look, the guys at CTA, you've got Kinsey and John Kelly
Yeah,
and
Gary's going to be on,
Shapiro's team.
on the show next week.
Look, they've done a good job of adapting. They've done a good job of trying to stay relevant. And the world has so dramatically changed. That is a very big deal. Samsung's not going to be on the floor. They're taking, I think, 120,000 square feet at the Win. So
Oh,
that's
that's
going to be
new. That's
interesting.
big.
Well, they've never not been in
Yeah.
Central Hall. I mean, in the recent memory of Man or
Yeah.
Beast, and Sony is not bringing any electronics. They're simply bringing the Honda Afeela car. They're not bringing cameras or TVs or any other electronics or experiences. So we're going to see a very different uh, kind of CES in Central and North Hall. I have a lot of robotics in North. We've got a fair amount of Chinese companies, but we don't know what the climate is for the Chinese companies based on the current administration. And so we don't know if they're going to be there selling or just displaying, or haven't really got a deep handle on that. TCL will be there for sure. I mean, they're places on the floor on the maps, but last year was a kind of a different year. You know, they were under a little bit of pressure last year. They're under a lot more pressure this year, tariffs being what they are. So I don't know. I'm not going to get into politics, but whatever those politics are will have an impact on the way that CES presents this year. Then you've got C-Space. They've done a really nice job there. We're going to do our Shelly Palmer Innovation Series breakfast presented by 3C Ventures and the Association of National Advertisers Wednesday morning as an official CES event. This is the first time we've been an official CES event in probably a decade. We've been kind of independent with the breakfast. This will be the 30th year of the breakfast.
Wow.
So it's sort of always been my favorite part of CS, because it's the thing that we have control over. CS has always been very kind and gracious to us about it. We were taking the Encore Theater, and they were, on a Wednesday morning, they were very supportive, although it wasn't an official event. This year, we're going to be in Mariposa. We'll be at the Aria. It's a smaller room. I think it only holds 400 or 500 people. So it'll be a harder ticket to get to. Really nice guest list. Shakir Moen from Coca-Cola. And we've got Susie Deering coming in, and a bunch of other really, really extraordinary guests. Michael Casson will have a minute. I'll do a keynote like I normally do. It'll be fun. And then we're doing, for our biggest clients, our private tours, as we always do, of the floor. We're not doing publicly available tours this year. We didn't do them for the last 5 years. Sort of went back after COVID. We never went back to public touring. It's just our private clients. So I'm really looking forward to CES, and as I always do, um, it's it's from the Palmer Group's perspective, it's our Super Bowl. I've got a really nice opportunity to go on stage for Omnicom. They've invited me to go on stage and do a 20-minute little mini presentation about the way I'm seeing AI, and that's always a fantastic audience. We had a couple dinners that I'm looking forward to that I will not promote because they're not mine, and I don't know that the people are that excited to have other people know they're having them. But there's a couple of not so super secret handshake dinners with marketers and tech executives that I'll be attending. I'm always looking forward to CES. By the way, we got some big choices now on the marketing and tech side, right? I mean, CES is certainly the kickoff of the year, but Possible in April, very important conference. It's turned into be in Miami. It's turned out to be really something special. And of course, Cannes has taken on a completely new, like, I
Right.
don't know,
The
they've
can
taken that to
That's
the
not
next
the film
level.
festival, but it is the
No, Cannes
marketing
Lions.
festival that goes on next
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, Cannes
Yeah.
Lions. It's really something. So those are the three big ones I super look forward to. And CES is always, you don't get a great Christmas New Year's vacation pre CES. It's a little busy, but I'm very much looking forward to it. So yeah, then yeah, at 10 it's going to be all AI all the time. It's
This
going to
is
be
this is going to be my 35th CES.
get out of here,
Yeah.
really?
Do you
Wow.
know at 25, I tell this story too much. At 25, they give you a little special badge. It's
Hmm.
like 25th anniversary or whatever. But then everybody you talk to wants to talk about your 25th anniversary, which I am not there to talk about me. I'm there to learn things and let other people talk. So eventually I went
Yes.
after like a day and said, you got to give me a normal badge. This is really embarrassing. Also, I mean, how old and how much of a nerd do you have to be to actually get one of those? So,
So both you and I used to go to CES when it was
yes,
Comdex, and that's all anyone needs to know. It's
yes.
just it's just
It
that
it was
simple. Like
one hall in the convention center, which was much smaller than anyway, and then a tent out back with guys selling porn videos out of cardboard boxes, uh, which I guess now they have their own whole thing in Las Vegas.
4 years, as everybody knows, the Adult Video News Awards, the AVN Awards, took place Saturday
Yeah,
night and at the Venetian. And walking through the lobby of the Venetian as that pregame was going on was one of the funnest things you could do. It was just hysterical. I mean, they just they theme dressed for their award
Oh
show,
yeah.
all of them.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was very funny. Look, CS is a long history. Vegas has changed so
Oh my
much.
gosh.
I mean, it's a different city. It used to be run, and I would say, like, I don't know how other people are going to feel about this. I probably going to get in trouble for saying it. When the mob ran Las Vegas, I liked Las Vegas better. It was the safest place on earth. They knew how to take care of high rollers. They knew how to take care of entertainers, and the restaurants that were at the casino level did not have individual P&Ls, and therefore they were there for the guests. They understood if they fed you and watered you, if you were properly fed and watered, you would sit at the tables all night. It was a, I don't know, kinder, gentler, mob-run world.
Okay, so
You could
that's
leave your
our
chips,
preview of
Better
leave your
CES.
chips on
stand
the
up.
table.
I would
You could
also
leave your
add
chips on the table and walk away.
Better
You'd
comedians.
still-
better
better.
comedians. I would also add
You know
one
what? You
thing.
should start Mava. Make Vegas great again. Or
make
Mavga.
make
MAGA.
Vegas mob
Make-
run again.
Make Mava.
Yeah,
Guy.
it was. There's just they
Shelly,
just
you
don't
might be
do-
getting
they don't do
calls
that.
from people you may not want to get calls from after this
I don't
podcast.
know. It was again. It was you literally could. I'll never forget this. I I was at. I won't mention the casino. I was in a poker game. That was because I'm in the old days before video poker. You actually could sit down at a poker table in Vegas and not be faced off with a 24-year-old with a still plastic brain who'd seen 5 million hands of poker from playing video poker and could just wipe the table with you because the skill level and pattern matching was, unbeatable. But back in the day when you were playing people who were just human, who had not ever had video poker experience, you could actually have a nice night and win some money. And it was commonplace to leave your chips right where they were, get up, go smoke a cigar with somebody, take a break, come back, nothing would be gone. Like it was the safest place in the universe to do anything. Okay. And you could walk on the streets at any time of the day or night, never fearing anything ever, regardless of what the police were doing, that you were in a different place. It was a different vibe. It just was. And look, I don't want to harp on the old days. Vegas is what Vegas is now. But I'm just saying, if you were asking me like which Vegas I prefer, if we're reflecting on memory lane, it's like they definitely took care of business back then.
So
Okay, well, if you
obviously
want-
you'll
if
have
you want
no
a little
time to
moment-
attend. No, I was going
gonna say,
to
if
plug
you-
the AI XR podcast dinner, which is 8 years old, although it's our 6th annual because we missed 2 years because of the pandemic. So Ted and I were doing this dinner before there was a podcast. We did it twice before we started the podcast during the pandemic. So it's if you want an invite to that very exclusive podcast party, shoot me an email, hit me up on the socials. I'm the easiest person to find there in the world. So I'd be happy to shoot you an invite. If you're a listener, we would love to meet you in person. So let's pivot now to 2025 in our rearview mirror. I'm sorry, Ted, go ahead before we get started.
I was just gonna tell Shelly, if you want to get yourself a throwback Vegas moment, go see Wayne Newton at the Flamingo. Wayne Newton, not a young man, still performing. And you would think, let me tell you something, you would think this is not something you want to see. I guarantee you will be charmed and amazed and wondered. It's in a tiny little showroom at the Flamingo, and it is absolutely worth seeing. It will take you all the way back to the heyday of Vegas. I cannot stress it hard enough. You, because of your opinion of Vegas and the old Vegas and what you want out of Vegas, we should all actually go. We should go. I bid with a very close friend of mine.
Right.
It was a magical experience, and we should go. Trust me.
So Wayne Newton,
Wait.
Wayne Newton figured prominently in that Albert Brooks movie Lost in America from 1985. So just to give you a sense of Wayne Newton, he was a big Vegas star in 1985. That's 40 years ago.
Wait, hang
And
on
he
a
has an
second, hang on.
iconic
If we're
moment
going there, I just got to throw out one thing.
in in Vegas Vacation, Chevy Chase's Vegas Vacation, too. Iconic that he talks about in his show.
Oh, which I just saw, by the way. But by the way, the funniest thing I ever saw in Vegas, I was only there a couple times, unlike you guys. During Mako, we had a huge conference there, one of the ortho conferences, full of like orthopedic surgery nerds. And I just wandered over to like I think the Flamingo and got to see Jackie Mason by accident.
Oh, how
So
fun.
if anyone, one of the classic, extremely rude, every kind of bad word you can imagine. He was like the funniest 2-3 hours of my entire life. I think I just was on the floor, probably unable to not like just like convulse the whole time. He was like, it was like the great, it was like an old school. It's what you were saying, Shelly, the old school Vegas, kind of a grungy hotel at the time. Jackie's like, kind of already peaked. It's like this was like in the mid to
It's
late
post.
90s.
Yeah, anything in Vegas that he did is post his peak. He was a Borscht Belt comedian. Fun fact, opened for Jackie when I was music directing.
You opened for Jackie?
Wonderful young female singer who was his opening act, and I music directed those performances. He actually had he taught me one thing or gave me a line that I really feel like is maybe the most important thing I've ever taken away as a stage performer, or like, guys, I do like 60 speaking engagements a year. It's like more than one a week. So we are in the Poconos at the beautiful Mount Airy Lodge, or whatever they called it back then. And it's 2 shows a night. There's an 8 o'clock and there's an 11 o'clock. And we're the opening act for both. So of course you sit through the whole thing because you do. No, you don't just leave. So the 4 nights in a row where it was a 5-night gig, we're there through the 4th night. Every set was precisely and exactly the same from him, right down to the beat, right down to the timing. It was stunning to me how accurately he replicated his performance. So we're at the pool, him and I, daytime, Saturday, because our gig ends Sunday night. And I won't say we're friendly, but we are quite, we're talking because like we're sort of doing the same thing, and we're sitting there ordering whatever drinks we're ordering. And I said, Jackie, I gotta say, I'm so impressed. I'm actually stunned by the accuracy and the quality, like everything I just told you. And he takes a pregnant pause, a good theatrical beat, and in the thickest Jackie Mason accent he could possibly muster, which I will not attempt to do now because no, I'll do it well, but nobody will understand what I'm going to say. He looks me straight in the eye and he goes, Shelly, it is way easier to find a new audience than new material.
So
truer words have never been said in the history of the world.
That's really funny. That's really brilliant.
And I've never forgotten. I will never forget it. And every time I use the same joke in a speech, or every time I reuse a slide, I just think to that one little moment by the pool, and Jackie sipping a Mai Tai, and it's much easier. Just exactly right. It is much easier to find a new audience than new material. May he rest in peace. He was an amazing, amazing performer. So what do you want to talk about, 2025
so
or 2026?
tell us what surprised you about 2025.
I think what surprised me the most about 2025 was everyone's willingness to say they were playing with AI as opposed to their willingness to roll up their sleeves and put hands on keyboard. People were posing and talking more than they were doing, or they were dabbling without going deep and talking as if they'd gone deep because they didn't understand the difference between using it as a parlor trick and using it to shift a paradigm. And this was so pervasive that it actually sat me back in my chair this year. Everyone was talking like they were expert at it when they had done nothing, or they would have a deep opinion about it. And when you peel away one layer of the onion, not 2, just 1, you realized they were completely full of it. Like they had literally done nothing. And I'm not indicting any one person. I'm indicting like every executive. There are people that would sit in meetings and shake their head and smile as if they knew. And then you would ask a question and you'd get a no answer. And I got to the point where I stopped asking questions in public forums, and I would carve someone away from the pack and say, hey, you said something earlier. I just want to go over that with you. And it would be clear they had no idea what they were talking about. And this is the first time in my professional career where that can get ratted out by somebody asking an innocent question, not even a technical question, an innocent question. And also, I've never seen this kind of nonsense this pervasive. And it's really bad because people are ascribing all kinds of capabilities. They're also willing to condemn the technology. Well, it hallucinates. Well, it does this. It's bad for society. It's going to kill everyone. Like parroting back nonsense. And it is the parroting back of nonsense as opposed to the, hey, you know what, guys? All you got to do is sit down, roll up your sleeves. And if you don't know what you're doing, ask the model. Just ask it. Hey, I want to do this. How do you do it? And you're going to get somewhere way, way farther along than reading somebody's blog post or listening to some YouTuber who knows nothing tell you stuff that they're like copying from another YouTuber who knows nothing. The game of telephone stunned me this year. And I've never saw, look, I've been doing this 45 years. I've never seen anything like it, to be fair, Charlie. I just never have.
Have you seen anything on the other side, like breakout successes where the opposite has happened to you, where you were going in thinking these guys are all smoke and mirrors, and it turns out they really have it going on. They figured it out. They start to use these tools in the right way, and they're going to be successful businesses. Have you seen the other side of that coin?
Absolutely.
Can you give us some examples of who's doing it right?
Because of the NDAs I'm under, I cannot call out the companies by name, but I can tell you with absolute surety that several of my clients are exactly the opposite of that. They are rolled up sleeves, hands on keyboard. Here's the recipe for success goes like this. First, leadership believes. The actual senior leaders believe this is real and they use the technology. When the leaders use the technology, everybody else does too. You get a senior leader walking into a leadership meeting, into an LT meeting, and they say, hey, I made this app over the weekend, or I built this agent that does this like workflow. And everybody in the room goes, oh my God, if the boss can do it, I have to do it. So that leading from the front is the first thing that every one of them has in common. The second thing they have in common is that not only do they believe, they put their money where their mouth is. There's Tech Tuesdays or Tech Thursdays, where there's an hour or two every Tuesday or Thursday. And it's, hey, everybody the winner gets a Starbucks card. We're going to automate this workflow, or we're going to rethink this workflow, or we're going to come up with some blue sky. We're going to have a blue sky meeting and try to do something where AI will amplify our skills or our capabilities. They literally do blue sky meetings. They create PRDs, and they go ahead and they try to make stuff happen, and they test, fail, and learn. But they're doing it on paid time, where senior leadership says, we believe in this so much, we're going to pay you to sit at your desk and do this. And the third recipe for success is they figure out that this is a cross-discipline issue, and they all know that SecOps has to be involved. IT needs to be involved. Risk and compliance needs to be involved. The legal team, the general counsel's office is going to be involved. And they're paving the way, like a new model comes out. And instead of having to go through like 14 weeks of testing by every different group, they have some statement of principles or manifesto in place where this can be reduced to practice relatively quickly, and they can learn from the mistakes of others. And they don't react to the advent of new technology, which happens every morning. They've built a mechanism to respond. And when you have those things in place, you are seeing real success and real progress. And honestly, where they're not in place, you see chaos, absolute chaos, and 300 projects that are just all over the place, and everybody's fighting. And it's you choose your metaphor, Knives Out or Game of Thrones, the home game, whichever one you like. It's one of those. If you don't have a process.
You are not, if you build it, everyone dies mentality. Clearly.
No. Humans kill humans. Machines don't kill humans.
100%.
Everyone may die, but everyone may die, but they're not going to die because the machine woke up in the morning and said, you're all supposed to be dead. We'll fight over resources like electricity or oil or water. We'll fight over capability. Make no mistake. This is a militarized project. This is the Manhattan Project of our lifetime. There's $3 trillion stacked up behind this. No one's ever seen $3 trillion stacked up behind anything. This is insane money. Some people are calling it a bubble. I'm sorry. It would be a bubble if the United States government wasn't saying out loud in writing and every way they could scream it to the rafters, we, the US, will have to beat the Chinese to AGI. Undefined as it is, artificial general intelligence is a concept that people believe they understand. And the government has made it very plain. We're beating the Chinese to artificial general intelligence, whatever that means. Okay, that may get us killed, but that's not going to be the AI killing us. Look, if you saw at the Beijing Olympics, the Chinese put, I don't know, 20, 30, 50,000 drones in the air and did a light show. That wasn't a light show. That was them demonstrating they could put 20, 30, 50,000 drones in the air, swap them out in real time so that it looks like they're continuous, regardless of their battery life. And you know what that's for? Let me put 10,000 drones over a battlefield and eliminate the enemy combatants. Let me put 100,000 drones in the air over the Gerald R. Ford class battle group and take it out. No conventional weapon could take it out. You can get within 500 miles of that battle group with a conventional weapon, but with 100,000 drones, you'll overwhelm anything that it has to offer, unless they start doing crazy EMP pulses, like that are directed. I mean, we'll probably have some countermeasures for that. But at the moment, what the Chinese were saying is, you guys proved you could put a man on the moon. What you're really proving is that you had intercontinental ballistic missile capability. That's what you told us with an Atlas V rocket. You could put a big payload up in the air and ballistically land it anywhere on Earth within 20 minutes. Okay, we got it. Nuclear age has begun. The age of intercontinental ballistic missiles has begun. Beijing, they announced flat out, we have the AI to put the drones in the air, and we're not going to stop till we can put them everywhere. And you see what's going on in Ukraine. Like, this is militarized. So if AI is going to kill us, it's going to be through the technologies of war that we are so focused on right now. And with $3 trillion lined up to take over the world, most of which is not militarized, but it's public record. They sent a couple $100 million to each of the foundational model builders from the Pentagon. What do you think that was for? It's for cyber warfare and robotics.
So, Shelly, are you saying that, like, if we look back at 25 to stay with our theme, was 25 the year that AI became hardcore institutionalized in the Department of War, Department of Defense? Like, it's become the thing now versus like
I think a better way to describe it is that it became publicly understood. I don't think that anyone who is knowledgeable about the defense community and the 17 three-letter agencies could be naive enough to believe that AI wasn't a massive component. But AI itself took a turn after the advent and consumerization of generative pre-trained transformers that I don't believe anybody could have expected. To be fair, we've been talking about AI in our practice vigorously since 2013. Vigorously. First neural networks went online. We're starting to use them for media mix optimization. We're starting to use them for simulations. We're starting to use them for optimizations of every kind. And then you had the early transformers like BERT for Google Translate. We started to use those to try and get more context. When in 2017, after the generative pre-trained transformer white paper, the attention is all you need white paper, remember at that time, you're coming off of the 2016 AlphaGo, AlphaZero timing, right? So that big transition was AlphaGo was trained on a few 100,000 gameplay transcripts. They transcribe Go games the way they transcribe chess games, right? They write them all down move by move. So they taught AlphaGo how to play Go by it looking at hundreds of thousands of previously played games. AlphaZero, according to Demis Hassabis, was trained with rules, and then it was taught to play itself, and in about 4 hours, learned to play better than AlphaGo. It also learned Soji in a couple hours and chess in a couple hours. And all three of those games, AlphaZero played better than anything that it ever played before. So it learned a lot in that 2016-17 timeframe. That's when attention is all you need. That white paper came out. So all of a sudden, generative pre-trained transformers become something that can be realized. We don't see ChatGPT as a public product until November 30th, 2022. That was a fairly significant time period where people in the business knew this was going on, Certainly people in the military knew what was going on, but your average consumer thought we were still in the AI winter. But what was really happening? All the data exhaust from all of the laptops and desktops, all the data exhaust from mobile, all the location data. Like all of a sudden, you had these massive data sets we really never had before. And I have an old phrase I've used in every speech, probably for 25 years, which is the velocity of data is increasing and will always increase. And if you think about that, it's true. Like there's no way that tomorrow there's any less data than there is today. That we're on a crazy exponential trajectory for data creation. Well, to that level, that's what AI feeds on, better data. And when they get it to a point where Jan LeCun just resigned from Meta as their chief scientist, and he just raised on a $5 billion valuation to start his new startup. And what is he going to do? He's going to try to build a model or a group of models or a platform based on a concept called world modeling or worldview modeling. Very different from large language models or reasoning engines, in that rather than it train on vast amounts of giant corpora of data where you just overwhelm it with patterns and it learns these patterns and figures out how to do what it figures out how to do. Here, they're going to try to train it on the physical world. This is more for robotics than anything else, but with the thesis that unless AI can model the world, it can't experience what we experience or understand how to experience what we experience. So he's going to do that, and maybe it will fail, maybe it'll succeed, but DeepMind's on the same path, and Zuck knows it too. Nvidia totally understands it, and everybody, and so does Elon, and everybody's thinking humanoid robots and other robotics are what will benefit from this modeling of the physical world. We don't know where that's taken us. Nobody knows where that's taken us. So I would argue, back to your question, that it's not that 25 became the year that AI hits front and center. It's that consumers all of a sudden have a pathway to understand some of this. And that's good and bad. The good news is everyone gets to do it. And if you're listening, I encourage you, I beg you, open up your laptop, take your favorite model, Gemini, Claude, any of the ChatGPT models, ask it some questions and just go deep. And the way to do this is to choose a personal project, something you really care about that you don't think you're schooled in the art or skilled enough to do, and have the AI help you do it to your satisfaction, where you know the output and it gets you there. And once you've had that experience, once you've gone from beginning, middle, and ending, rising action, climax, falling action, you put your hands on keyboard, then and only then will you have an emotional attachment to your point of view, grounded in real life or lived experience. I think we all need that. We owe it to ourselves. We owe it to the politicians. We owe it to our kids. When someone says, oh, they only use AI to cheat, or, no one's going to be writing original stuff. And whenever anyone starts to pontificate about what they think the future of AI is, you will have a personally lived experience, fully grounded in your own two hands, understanding of what AI can do for you today, more importantly, what it can't do, which is maybe the thing that's missing from everybody. We're ascribing these capabilities that literally do not yet exist. They will, but they don't right now. So giving this thing the license to say it's going to kill us and or cure cancer, it's like those are two sides of the same question. Come on, guys. It's neither curing cancer tomorrow nor killing us. It will be able to do both at a certain point. Where are you on that trajectory? You need a personal point of view for that. That only comes from you putting your hands on keyboard.
That is true. It's also a way to understand what it can't do, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
very
and
much.
there are some nuances that unless you're using it like a power user, you won't discover. The limitation of context windows. The fact that they don't let you track your tokens, which is incredibly annoying, because if you're in the middle of a large project, you have to wait for it to start to break down for you to figure out, oh, wait, I've used up my context window. It's not going to go anymore. And then you have to figure out a way to back out the data that's important from that interaction and redeploy it in a new window. So there's a lot of nuance to using these models that unless you're spending hours and hours, you will never get there.
It's true. Like this past week, OpenAI said that they were going to adopt the skills methodology that Anthropic made popular a few months back. Skills are different from custom GPTs. They're different from evals. They're different from pre-prompts. They're different from context files. Skills are instructions that agents will read in a context window before doing their agent thing, whatever they've been sent to do. So one of the most interesting refactors is to now start to build a set of skills that will allow you to do things like, hey, when you understand that you're coming to the end of the token window, build yourself a continuation file that like in the writing those kinds of skills. So I have spent the last 3 months tried to get everybody to understand what a pre-prompt is, what a prompt is, what an eval is, what a context profile or a context file is, and of course, most importantly, what an agent is and how a skill empowers an agent. Just knowing those things exist will help you, but literally what you just described, Charlie, is so important. You when you run out of tokens and you haven't prepared to run out of tokens, you are, for all intents and purposes, you're starting over.
So painful.
Or if you want to try to use Gemini for something where it has no context memory whatsoever, but you have context memory fully turned on in ChatGPT and you have it moderately turned on in Claude, you cannot interchange those windows mid-project because they don't have the context that each other has, and you end up literally starting everything from scratch, which locks you in to a given model for a full given project. But if you're capable of building the appropriate tool set that's portable to make yourself portable, then you can set up an environment like I have here where the model literally in an adversarial way determines my little what we call TP-GPT, the Palmer Group GPT. What it does is it goes and tries about a half a dozen different models of different sizes with a version of the prompt you're doing. Yes, it takes a minute. It's thinking, but it's finding the model with the best answer for the specific problem. So, these are, you could say, well, that's expensive and time consuming. Depends on the project you're doing. If you're doing a project that's a production grade bulletproof project that you're going to either use day to day, or you're thinking about selling to someone and you're not an actual coder and you're like vibe coding, or you are having this thing write English for you, but you wanted to write a proposal at a very high level, or you wanted to write some kind of report at a very high level, or do research at a high level, having this thing with real constraints, it's like, this is critically important. So if it takes 90 seconds and you don't have your instant gratification gene satisfied and you have to sit there and go get a cup of coffee while it's going to wait for 5 minutes to give you an answer, but if it's the right answer at the right price, you didn't just spend $24 getting the answer, you spent $3.50 and it happens to be the right answer in tokens. Oh, and there's some tokens left over. Oh, and the context window you're in is still fully functional. Like a different level of AI. Right. And you could say, well, I can go use a model with 1 million token context window. It's like, yeah, you can, but at some point it gets overloaded too and you need some knowledge base and some system for continuous improvement. They don't come stock out of the box like that. You need to build these components for yourself that are tuned to your workflows and also your tolerances for good and bad. Everyone's got different tolerance levels for good and bad, and everyone's got different risk profiles. So I can't give you my stuff. It's not one size fits all. I've been tuning the stuff I use for myself personally for over 4 years, like well before ChatGPT. We've been using this stuff. And there's also stuff that I've been working on that just is absolutely not portable. And there's stuff I'm working on that's so portable that it's going to be a feature of OpenAI's stuff, like at some point, or Claude's going to just bring it out. If you don't notice that every morning, you must have noticed every morning these guys come out with new stuff, like subtle stuff. A new slash command they built in, someone's got some new Git repo with some stuff. Somebody really smart said, you know what, I've had this problem. Let me solve it with blank. You got to be on top. If you need to be on top of it, it's there for you. Like one of the tools we have, Charlie, you really like, goes out every day, literally every morning. Actually, it goes out 3 times a day, 6:30 a.m., 2:30 p.m., and 6:30 p.m., and looks for stuff I haven't seen yet today. So I don't have to wait for it to tomorrow.
Because it knows what you know.
It knows what I know, what I don't know, and it knows what I'm looking for. It's got very, very strict criteria. There's an eval that we constantly use for self-improvement. This model And every day I have a scorecard, and when it delivers the brief, I will say good, not good, good, not good. And it now knows it's very focused on what I do. And that thing's been building a knowledge base in there's a little vector database, and oddly, it's a combo. It's an older technology that some people like and some people don't. It's Postgres, which is a SQL structured database, and then Chroma, which is a vector plugin for it. So it kind of does both. It makes it embeddable, and it also has a structured, completely searchable with SQL queries way to go in there and find it. So you can troubleshoot. It's not just black box crazy. It's like there are many other ways to do this. This is just, I started it so long ago. That was the technology that was available, but it's become quite powerful, and there's no reason to change it. It does its job. It goes out every day, and it gives me 3 briefs a day where it goes ding, 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 and it sends notifications via text and in Slack. Why did I build that? Because it's constantly looking, and I'm not. Like, I go into client meetings. It doesn't go to client meetings. It looks on the internet all day.
So, Rony, I'm interested in your perspective because, of course, you are building a special and unique model on the kinds of things that Shelly and I have been talking about with regard to context windows and training GPTs.
I'll only say this about it. Love to get your take on it, Shelly. I think of the field as an ecosystem of diverse species, and don't get too used to thinking one species is the only thing that's happening. Because right now I think people are trained to think that let's say we use the word animal, and animal is AI, and you think there's only one kind of animal, which is a very large cow, and everything looks like a cow. Kind of the stuff I'm working on does not look like a cow at all. It doesn't have the same traits or behaviors, but it's in the world of computing intelligence. And I think we're going to see a lot more diversity because a lot of money's gone into one paradigm, which has limits. And I think people that see the limits, whether it's Jan Lecun and others, are going to go in all these different directions to take the good and leave behind the bad. I think some people put hundreds of billions of dollars into one thing and maxed it, and you're like, oh, it does have issues. It's got some real power, but it does have issues. And I think this is a prediction on 26 and beyond, we're going to see a diversification, like a Cambrian explosion of many pursuits to use intelligence from the underlying silicon to do things in ways that may look different from all the money that was spent before. The cure-all answer is not necessarily from OpenAI or Gemini or Anthropic. It's one animal in the ecosystem. Love to get your take on that.
Look, you're right, and your metaphors are good. What I do know is that there are a very, very, very small set of organizations that will bring this to you. The clear winner with no competition of any kind is Google. They own their own data centers. They own their own fiber. They own their own TPUs. They own literally their own compute, which they build themselves. Everyone you know in the world has been logged into Google for more than 25 years. They have 11 products that have more than 500 million users a day. And Chrome has 3.5 billion users a day, which is 2/3 of the users of the internet every day. No one has that kind of data. No one has that kind of infrastructure. They cannot, no matter how many times they make a mistake, no matter how badly they are managed, no matter what faux pas or screw up, nothing will stop these guys. And now that the US government needs to beat the Chinese to AI, they're not going to be torturing Google. They're going to be encouraging them to win and win at all costs because everyone believes national security is at risk. So Google will clearly win. Whether OpenAI ever figures out how to make a living or not, they have demonstrated that they are some of the best researchers in the world and some of the biggest brains in the world. And while they have lost a lot of talent to startups and they've lost some key players, it is very clear that these guys are serious and amazing, and they have captured the hearts and minds. Plus, they own the brand name. Nobody Geminis, nobody Claudes. They chat, and what they mean by chat is ChatGPT. The guys at Anthropic are my heroes. They are the most profitable on a pure play of AI because I've got 4 Claude Code windows open on my desktop right here, right now, grinding tokens. I am a couple $300 a day into Claude every single day because it's never not running, ever. I pay OpenAI $200 a month for their max plan. apparently I'm in the 0.1% according to their like wrapped thing of people who use it, but I use it a fraction as much as I use Claude Code. And in true reality, 97%, and this is their words, not mine, of OpenAI's users are on the free tier. Only 3% pay. So there's no, and it costs them a fortune for every query. So they're the most valuable startup valuation wise, they say, not half a trillion dollars that has ever happened. But I don't know that they have a path to profitability, which they may not need, by the way, because the investment community is exuberant. So you look at Anthropic, they are making money. They're going to make money. They are brilliant researchers. They are doing brilliant research. And coders are just going token after token, it's grinding all day long. Every engineer I know is grinding on Claude Code. They're making coin. OpenAI, don't know if they're ever going to make money, but they have the hearts and minds of the consumers. And Google just wins. So to your point, is it going to be that way? Any minute, any day, any second, we could have two things that change the world. We could have enough qubits for quantum computing to take that class of mathematical problem and make it doable by anybody, which means all of the harvest and hold encrypted stolen data that's useless now becomes useful. Forgetting about the data that's already post-quantum encrypted because that's safe. Like and all the current data is, for all the big institutions, mostly safe. But all that harvested data that no one's been able to crack gets cracked on that day, and it will be analyzed by AI because there's no other way to analyze it. And large language models are totally fine for that. So when we talk about world-changing things, that is a world-changing thing that could happen now, next week, next year, or never. Like, we don't know when that technology happens, but when it does, everyone sits back. The system will be shocked in a way that no one can predict, but shocked it will be. And then the other thing you don't know about is on the same timeline, which is tonight, tomorrow, next week, next month, never, this idea of world modeling, or this different, the way it was just described, different species, different flavors, different approaches to the problem set, or some combination of things we yet know. Like, I think some 9-year-old who's going to Dartmouth early decision for mathematics and is going to be the first self-made billionaire. And I literally think it's going to be a 9-year-old sitting at AI and not even typing, talking to it. Some like super brain. Maybe it's a 14-year-old, but you know what? It isn't an old guy like me. It's going to be like some kid with a plastic brain and like who's grown up in this world and feels super comfortable and has some vision of the future we don't have. And I'm encouraged by that. I'm not scared by it, but I know that where we are is not where we're going to be. Everybody uses this analogy. It's an imperfect metaphor. But in 1998, like when Front Page from Microsoft was out and you had to connect some kind of MySQL or SQL database, and there was no CSS, or it was just beginning this concept of cascading style sheets. It was regular HTML, and it was really primitive. And you had to build your database, and you had to connect it by hand, and you had to write your own HTML code. And like every line of it, JavaScript was very infrequently used. Everything was by hand, as I remember back to those days. Nothing was standardized. Nav bars weren't even standardized. And look where we are today. You can vibe code a website in 90 seconds. And it just is. All right. Whenever AI gets to where you say to the model, hey, spin me up an expert that does this without asking for anything else. Like, how far are we from that? And what technology will build it? I don't know, but it's got to be going there. It has to, there's no other place it can go. And if you want to call that agents or agentic tools or agentic, I don't know what you want to call it. It doesn't have a name yet, but you have to believe the end state is a notification shows up in your smartphone or your Alexa says, not ding, ding, ding. Hey, I have a notification for you. And it's telling you, yeah, I just renewed the car lease at a favorable rate. And I mean, we're getting somewhere close to there. I don't know when.
Right, so we're over an hour now, so we've got to wrap up the show. AI bubble or no AI bubble? Shelly's laughing because this is probably the question everybody asks him first.
Can I give you my answer, Charlie,
Please, go
first? It's a qubit. It's both. There's a bubble that will splat, and there's also going to be massive success at the same time. We live in a quantum world. Both things will happen. Love to get Shelly's take, though.
I love that. I mean, I just love that I love that as a metaphoric look at it. Whether it's a qubit or whether, well, here's what's going to happen. Like people always try to time the market. I know exactly what the market's going to do tomorrow. I know it more accurately than anyone else can ever predict. It's either going to go up or it's going to go down. It won't be the same. That much I know. And so there are people who made financial investments that are incredibly stupid because deploying capital is a game of being, right 51% of the time, not 80% of the time or 90% of the time. And so there are people deploying capital in places they shouldn't deploy it. And there are people who are willing to take that capital who are complete charlatans. And valuations are for those kinds of things are insane. If that's what you call a bubble, and that's a good definition for one, there's no way that doesn't burst. It will burst. What's not going to happen? The US military is not going to back off. The administration is not going to back off and say, you know what, we're just kidding. The Chinese can get to AGI first. Not going to happen. Not happen. So as long as that's not true, this is the Manhattan Project. And the internet wasn't understood to be the Manhattan Project when it started, although DARPA started it. They knew it was important. And the World Wide Web, when it happened in browsers, certainly no one made the leap that it was a military project, that cyber security and cyber warfare were going to be a thing. Now, no one's that naive. We understand, everybody, that, I mean, you don't need to be technical to understand that AI can be militarized and and it can be done both in information warfare and in actual warfare. So it's like physical warfare and cyber warfare will both be dramatically impacted by AI. So whatever bubble you think is happening, which may absolutely burst in some Wall Street kind of way for the retail investors, if you're making drone control AI, if you're making robots that go into battlefields instead of people, if you're like doing stuff where, it sorts out DDoS attacks in nanoseconds and makes them go away, like if you're building that, there ain't no bubble in your world.
There's
You're
no
just
defense bubble. No defense bubble.
it's not
Right?
happening. So yeah, there's some things that are similar to the 1999, 2000 demise of the World Wide Web first, the first .com bubble burst. But Charlie, it's not, it's different
Yeah,
now.
I think
there's
that's
different pressures and different
I
stuff.
think this is a really great answer and a great way to end the show, which is it's both. Both things are true. It is not
Absolutely.
absolute. So there are going to be some incredible home runs in AI that are going to change the world. And as you said, Shelley, there are lots of charlatans running around who don't know what they're talking about and certainly are going to ultimately explode. The round tripping, the other stuff we've been seeing is obviously not totally legit, but it doesn't mean that the technology is not changing the world at the same time, right? Both things can be
Exactly
true.
right.
So that's our show,
Exactly right.
everybody. We'll be back here next Friday with Gary Shapiro, the head of the CTA, which puts on CES. Gary also, like Shelley, has become an annual tradition for us. So we hope you tune in. Come see us at the AIXR podcast party. Shelley, thank you again for coming. I will wave to you on the stage next Wednesday, or the Wednesday, I should say 2 Wednesdays from now, when you do your annual CES breakfast, which was terrific last year. So
Thank you.
so anybody who
Appreciate
can
it.
get a ticket to that is going to one of the highlights of CES. It is lucky to get in there. So I feel very privileged, and I look forward to seeing you and everybody else in the coming year. Have a great new year, everybody, and we'll see you back here.